There's nobody else at any of the other sites. The one person who wasn't take class never showed up. But I want to get in the habit of creating this each time. Okay, so now I'll go back to Blender. And remember, we got an object here. I'm going to press my D for delete, or X for delete, sorry. And I'm going to drop on, add mesh UV sphere. I'm going to use my mouse wheel to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. Now there's another object, another mode. We're in object mode, and if I do this choice here, we looked at edit mode. There's a sculpt mode. So I can choose sculpt mode. Now at this point, there's some different options down here. There's your view, which is kind of your standard. There's a sculpt, and you can say you can lock the Z, Y, X, use deform only, show brush, all that. If I go to brush, unified size, unified strength, enabled modes, reset brush, sculpt tool. These are all the sculpt tools you can use. Blob, clay strips, crease, draw, fill, flatten, grab, inflate, so forth. The sculpt is like you're sculpting clay, so you can change it that way. Now you have to have enough vertices in order to sculpt it. You can't sculpt like a cube because there's only 8 vertices, so it doesn't go anywhere. Now this is currently set to draw. If let me see if there's anything else to mention there. Stroke method, space, so forth, direction, add, subtract, curve preset, sculpt tool. Okay. Now if I click my left mouse button and hold down, and I start moving it around the object, do you see it changing? Now I'm not very good at sculpting on that. Now you see over here at strength on the left hand side, it says how powerful the effect of the brush is when applied. And it's currently set to 0.5, isn't it? If I change that strength to like 1, and now if I come over here and start clicking, then it has more of an effect. Let's see what else is over here. Radius, that's kind of important. How much do you want it to affect? Like when I was doing that at first, moving it around, you may not have saw much of a change, did you? Let's change our brush size, the radius, to some larger number. It's 35 now, so I'll click in there and let me put in 100. Now, as you move your mouse over here, you see your little red circle is larger. And now if I click and hold down, it has a quite dramatic effect, doesn't it? If I come over here and change it to even more, I change it to 500. Now my red circle is bigger than my object, and if I move it over that, now you can use your mouse wheel again to rotate it just like normal. And that was our original UV sphere. I'm not very good at sculpting tool. I can fumble around with it. Let's have my radius back down. Something more reasonable. Everybody get their sculpt tool to modify it in some form. Now, remember how we well, let me start over on that. But I'm gonna do a file new and say reload. We got our cube. Now I go to E for, got it selected, not E for edit. I go choose edit mode down here. Remember we did a W for subdivide? And you choose subdivide here. That gives us more vertices. You choose subdivide again, more vertices, subdivide again. At some point, you'll have enough that you'll either crash your system or you'll have enough you can sculpt. This one, I've changed it to 6,146 vertices. Is that enough to sculpt with? That is, isn't it? So now I can go from edit mode and go directly to sculpt mode. Now, let's see. 0.5, that's, I might increase the size of that a little bit. Yeah, that's probably not bad. And if I come down here to sculpt, show brush, that's a circle you're seeing. If I go to brush, you see the sculpt tool, that was draw. All of these do a different item. Blob, I don't know what blob does. That's new since the last time I used Blender. So if I choose blob, let's see what that does. It's interesting. Looks like you can run it across and it'll only increase where you're running the brush across. Which kind of implies I could draw a face, right? So if I come over here and change the radius of my brush, maybe to 40, something like 40. Come over here. That's interesting. I was doing a mirror effect there. But I just came up with that. Now that was a blob. You can, somewhere, you can tell it whether to add or delete. Hide mask. Huh. I saw it just a little bit ago. Oh well. Let me choose clay. Now with clay, I can come here. And that's the effect that it achieves there. It's going to bother me. I don't know where that's at. Here it is, direction. Brush direction. If you choose brush direction, you can say whether to add or subtract. For example, if I sit there and click on it, one of my tools may sculpt it so it comes out. But if you do the subtract, it'll go in. Of course, it depends on what kind of tool you're using. So now if I come up here, me change my strength. Or not my strength, my radius of my brush. You notice how that's sunk down now? Let's change the strength to 1. So you can create effects like that. I was never very good at sculpting when I took art, but you know, if a person had that creative side to them, they could create wonders with this tool. Now, this right here, if I choose this option next to sculpt mode, little white ball, it's currently set to solid, so we can see that. There's also wireframe. If I choose wireframe, see how it's showing you that pattern there? I can choose, well, texture we'll look at later on. Material we'll look at later on. I guess that was kind of the, I'll go back to solid. Now there's other options over here. Let's see, there's texture, angle, stroke, curve. So different options you can choose. What we're going to see is like different things you can do with a mesh is you can mold it, like sculpting. You can paint it, can't you? And that's what we're going to see. There's a tool for that. So you can sit there and you can paint it a certain color. You can paint a pattern, like a texture across it. So lots of different features there. Okay. Accumulate stroke dabs on top of each other. Now if I come here and choose my brush, choose direction, I'll put add back. Choose brush, sculpt tool. Pinch is interesting. There's pinch. If I choose pinch, and then I click on one little spot right here and pull out, oh, I have it set for, no. What do I have it set for? I thought I had it set for, oh, pinch pinches it down, magnify must bring it out. So the magnify is the subtract effect of it. That's what I want to do. I want to pinch it out. Is that moving very fast? Oh, it is?
Oh, wait, are you talking about like how you're explaining stuff?
Or no, the pinch.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, am I going too fast?
No.
Okay. Pinch is meant to be a slow progression. So that's why, you know, even though I have it set for, you know, big brush and for the strength, it's coming out slow for that reason. No, actually, that's a pretty good model. I'm going to save that. Okay. Now if I do, what other ones are there? Brush. Snake hook. I don't think I've ever seen that. That's brand new since I used this last. It's working like a mirror effect, isn't it? Yeah, so it appears like some of these work as mirror effects, some don't. Like when I was doing the eyes and the mouth, it was a mirror effect. Now, through all of this, if you look back up to the corner here, it still says 6,146 vertices. This is no different than the cube I had originally with all those vertices. In terms of like geometry, you've heard of vector-based graphics and so forth. You know, where it's based upon your vertices and you have locations of them. The idea behind that is you can very quickly draw it. And if you have a model you're putting into a game or to an animation like a Pixar film, you want it to be very quick. And that's why using this type of technologies works out so well. Versus if you had a bitmap, or even if you had to draw every pixel on the screen of your 3D object, that'd take you forever. Let's see, what other tools haven't I seen before? Thumb, I'm assuming that makes an indentation inside. Smooth, smooths out the hard edges, I'm assuming. So too smooth. I got some hard edges here, so I'll click there. And now the head is in some. I'll click down here. Remember I talked about the other day, maybe it's 2 days ago, or it wasn't 2 days ago, but I talked about the other day that it works better if you have symmetry and so forth. Remember how I talked about if you have your object exactly in the middle, it works? Sometimes you may not be able to do the mirror effect unless you have that, depending upon the tool. Okay, let's see what else. I don't think I've ever had much luck with rotate. Usually creates some kind of bizarre effect. Inflate's interesting. If I choose inflate, I got 6,146 vertices. If I come back here, let's try opposite. I want to inflate, not deflate. So again, the direction is very important if it's going the wrong way. So I choose inflate, then I want to choose this backside. And it's a pretty radical inflation. It's kind of like blowing up a balloon, whatever you're applying that to. This does not appear to have a mirror effect. Even then, I'm still sitting at 6,146 vertices. Clay strips. I don't think I ever used that. Choose that. Clay strips. Okay. Now if I go back to object mode, you notice it's exactly the same as it was over in Sculpt, wasn't it? So it's not like it loses anything, and now we have something new we can work with. And that's actually probably good enough with what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so I'm going to move this over to the far left, right here. And I got my my character there. Usually doing a G for grab and moving it works in some cases, but it's really hard to do animation with. Now this bar down here at the bottom, this is our timeline. Now currently I'm set at 0. Now these do not correspond to seconds. I'm drawing a blank on what they do correspond to. I think this is a total of maybe either 2.5 seconds or 5 seconds. It's not very long. Now I got my character right here. You see my green line is at 0, isn't it? I'm going to do an eye. I got my object selected. I'm going to do an eye, and that inserts keyframe. And our first one is location. And I can't see that. Does that say an L or does that say an I again? I? Okay. So if I choose that, what that's defining is that defined that location at that period of time. Now let's go to 30. And now I'm going to click this my direction. I'll click the green, and I'll move it this way. I'm going to do another eye. And choose location. Now I'll go to about 60 here. I'm going to move my character. And I do another eye. And choose location. I go to 90. And I'll move my character. And I do another eye for location. Good so far? Now you should see little yellow lines down here where the keyframes are. And now there's a play button down here. You see the right here. It says play animation when you put your mouse over it. If you click that, okay. If you go back to your beginning, click your timeline to go back to your beginning, then you'll see your animation. See, there it goes. Now it reaches there and it just stops, doesn't it? The reason why is because our timeline is clear over to here. Let's see how many seconds that is about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, more or less. So that kind of gives you an idea of these numbers here. Now I'm going to stop that. So we click the pause right here. Stop that. Now I really want my animation to end maybe at 110. So I can click here at 110, and I can do an E for end. And then there is no more. Let's say you want to put it back. Go back over here to 240, do E again. That readjusts your ending place. So if I come back over to here to 100 and I do an E, and now if I play my animation, there's my character going forward. Now we could do a lot of different things there. You could put music behind it, you know, and whatever. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. Now, this is about the middle right here. So that's about the middle of where I want to be. Now, I'm going to click over here, put my 3D cursor here. Now, if I right-click this, it selects it, doesn't it? You see select down here, there's a deselect all. So you do A for deselecting it. So if we do A for deselecting it, this is what I should have mentioned yesterday. Remember how you added another object and it merged them together? That's because of this. If I don't have this selected, now if I do another add, and I'll throw on a mesh, and I'll make a UV sphere. So I have this sphere here now. Now if I come down here and play my animation, my character is still moving, isn't it? Well, what I want to do now maybe is I want to have that ball to fly over the character. So let me stop the animation. You have to you have to click down here for the green bar to put where you want the ball to start moving. So maybe I want it to start here at about 10. Now I have the ball selected, the UV sphere, so I do an I for insert, and then I choose location. I'll go to like 20, and I'll click the red to move it along that axis. Move it right there. I do another I for location. Click here. It gets a bit closer, so I'm going to click my red arrow, move it forward, choose another I, location. Now about 650 is where that's there. So I want it to be flying over at that point, so maybe a little bit less right there. I want to put the ball up above. So I'm going to do my blue for moving it up. And then I'm going to do my red, after I rotate it, for moving it over a little bit. Now you do another I, and you choose location. Now I'll move it further, move it to like 60. And I want to click the red to move it over right here. Do another I, location. And maybe about 80, I want it to be down about right here. So I choose my blue for drop down. And then I do my R over like that, and do another I. Choose location. Now I'll go to about 100. Move my ball over further. Do I, location. Okay, so let's see what in the world I just created. If I run that, then you see your object coming forward, and then your ball's bouncing over it. Did I get that more or less? Let's start that up again. I put on Callie's website here, Callie's Blackboard website, I should say. There it is, right in front of me. Okay. So go to Computer Animation Programming, Course Content. And I went to week 2. I got Basic Animation Documentation. If I click that, this takes you over to the documentation that goes along with Blender. And so if you're ever sitting there wondering, which I was earlier, I didn't remember how to do that insert keyframe. And then I went here, and it's like, oh yeah, I for insert. When I went down here to the playback and so forth, I could not see the I. So some things are on menus, some things you cannot find on menus at all. It's a simple thing after I found it, but that's what allowed me to see that. Okay, so I'll come over here, I'll click E for end to change the ending. And I get right here this, and I'll select my weird looking character I created, and I do an I. You notice that there's other items you can do. There's rotation. Now the rotation and scaling, this is based upon rotation is like moving around. Scaling is like changing the size. Let me see. Change rotation right here. And I click the blue. Then if I do an I and I choose rotation, let's see what it does. See if I got the right sequence. Click over here to get it. Well, I did it wrong, but I should have recorded the original unrotated. I did an I over here for the original unrotated, and then I came over here, done another I to rotate it around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I screwed that up. Let's see if I can fix it. I come over here. Choose a rotate. Okay, so choose an I there, choose my rotation. And now let me run it. See how I got my original and then it's rotating to that new position? Now, if I didn't want it to rotate until I got here to the very end, what I could do is I'm back here. This is my original unrotated position in theory. Look, it moved a little bit more. That's close enough. I go along my timeline. Maybe here is where I want to start rotating. So right here, let me think of the proper sequence. Okay, I want to I think I want to rotate it first, then do an I. Always have to play with this. So we rotate it there and do an I, and then choose rotation. And let's see if that's what I want to do. Remember, you can always do an undo to. Okay, so there it's not moving, is it? It only rotates when it gets that position. Now that sphere going over like that, was that very smooth? No. A better shape to follow, and we're not going to show this today. There's a website called Desmos. Maybe this would be a better pattern for me to follow. That it goes up like this and follows that perfectly. Maybe I want to spread out some. You remember from algebra how you spread it out? I'm not sure if I do. I was wondering if you did. Let's put a 3 here. 3 brings it in, looks like. Yeah, you put a fraction in front of it. Remember shrinking and stretching in transformations? I hardly ever cover it when I cover college algebra. Has anybody had, you've had college algebra? You probably haven't had college algebra? Yeah. In college algebra, you cover shrinking and stretching, and if you put a fraction in front of it, it causes it to go out like that. If you put a whole number in front of it, it causes it to move in. Now, if I wanted my animation to follow this right here, perfectly with no jerky like that, I can program this in. So this right here, I could program in for the animation, and that's going to be the part of this course is we're not only create animations, but we're going to look at how to programmatically do things so it looks good. There's other ways you can do things. You can have your animation follow paths. You can have them follow Bezier curves and all kinds of things. But still, programming like that gets you that exact look you want for your animation. By the way, this is about as clever and creative I can get for that. So if you're looking for anything impressive coming out of me, that's it. I might save that just because I'm so proud of it. You think I'm kidding? Let me save that. Okay. Strangeness. We'll also see later on how you can export this to a movie. So you could upload it to YouTube, to Facebook, whatever you want. Of course, you'd want it to look a little bit better than that, unless you want to have people ridicule you. Is there any questions on any of that so far? If I do a new, choose reload startup file, go back to my cube here. I'll delete that, so I'll press my X for delete. There's an add. I love metaballs. And I'm going to drop on a metaball. And I'll drop on a ball. Now I'm going to move that to the side. Now I want to do a deselect on that, so I'm going to do an A to deselect it. And I'm going to click over here, and I'll drop on another metaball. So add metaball, and I'll choose ball. So now you should have two separate ones. Kind of looks like a weird sphere, doesn't it? If you click this green and move it closer to the other one, you see what happens? They kind of grow together, don't they? So then you have this look right here. Now I can do an A for deselect. I can click over here and I can drop on another metaball. Maybe I'll choose ellipsoid. And again, if I move that closer to the other ones, it'll form that. Ever get that? Now, these circles that are going around these metaballs, if you right-click one of them, you can hold down your Shift key, and you can right-click the other two. Now, if I look at my animation right here, I'm at 0. So let me do an I and choose location. Now, if I come over here to 90, these are still all selected, aren't they? If I do a G for grab, I can move the entire thing to its new position, wherever that might be. Move it up there. Besides moving it, I could rotate it. If I do R for rotate, I can rotate it like that. They're still all selected, aren't they? Now, if I do an I and I choose location, that's your location. I'd also need to do an I and do rotation. And now if I click at 100, I can do an E for ending the edit. If we run it, it's just not moving it and rotating it. You notice with that, it's kind of reshifting its original look. So I think they're cool. They're not set in stone like something else, and you can see that effect. Everybody get that? And that's, by the way, I didn't show it. We did an object at a time, but if you had 50 snowballs raining in, you wouldn't want to animate each one separately, would you? You'd want to select each one and then do them all at once. So if I start a new, let me delete that. So I do an X for delete. And I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to add on a mesh and a UV sphere. Click somewhere else, but this is already selected, isn't it? So I'm going to do an A to unselect it, and then I'll do an add and choose mesh and choose UV sphere. Click somewhere else, do an A for unselect, then choose another add, choose mesh, UV sphere. Now if I want these all to do something as it goes along, I can hold down my shift key and I can right click all the objects. Remember on our timeline, I need to do an I for insert. I don't think I did that right. You have to have your cursor up on the main screen, not down there in the timeline. And then I'll choose my location. Now I want to move to where I want to go to. So I'll come over to right here. And what am I doing? Not there. I meant the timeline. Sorry. So I'll click the 100. And now I'm going to do a G for grab. And I'll move these over here. And I'll kind of move them up a little bit, so forth. And now I can do an I and choose my location. Now I could do an R for rotate and rotate these like that, and do an I and choose rotation. Now if I come here and do an E, and now if I play this, of course there's spheres. Are they rotating?
No.
Oh, I didn't do my initial rotation, did I?
Yeah.
Oh well. Now they're not actually linked together at this point. I still can right click one of them and move it if I wanted to. Now if I right click this one and move it somewhere else, do a G for grab, move it down here. Now let's watch what happens when we do the animation. Why is it going back there? I moved it down below.
So you put in a location.
Yeah, because remember I did the I initially to record the initial location. That's why if I had done the R to record the initial rotation, we would have saw it a little bit better. Let's see what else there is under. We'll be looking at all this eventually. Okay. Is there any questions on any of that? Well, two things I want you to create is I want you to use a sculpting tool to create a new object, new creature, whatever your heart. As long as you, do more than just like pull two vertices out. Do something like I did. I don't think I saw yours yet, but what you uploaded. But I was watching over your shoulder when you were showing him how to save and so forth, and the effort like you put in like on that looked great. So I'm sure yours does too. I just haven't looked at it.
Yeah, I tried to make like double ones, but I forgot how to do one of the things. I was gonna ask you, but you're on the phone.
Hmm.
He explained how to do it best.
Oh, did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of them. And then I want you to create a basic animation. And that's pretty vague, but I don't want to limit your creativity. Things people have done in the past have created a snowman with like a hat, and then have another ball come and hit it, and then the little pieces of snowman would fly everywhere, and so forth. You can do that if you want. Again, don't let me limit your creativity. So just as long as you do your eyes and show the that, that's what I'm interested in from a technology standpoint. I'll go ahead and stop the recording here.